Okay, so in today's video, we're going to be dissecting 6 new screenshots that released by Game Informer, specifically all pertaining to Ashley Graham. All right, so let's get started with the first image. Now, I have to say with this first image, it does look like this is probably still the church, since the journalist that did get the chance to play Chapter 1 and Chapter 5, and looks like Chapter 5, he was only restricted to the church, so it would make sense. If you do look at the left side, it does kind of look like a church, but then again, it could be the castle. It is worth noting that we are speculating here, but it would make more sense if this was the church. Now, what's interesting here is that Leon is giving Ashley a piggyback to kind of slide in what looks like the photo does cut here, but it does look like he's trying to push her through a vent or something, or some kind of hole through the wall, which is very similar to Resident Evil 0. If you remember, there was one part of the game there where Billy actually does the same thing, lifts Rebecca through so that she can cross the basement level of the training facility. Now, it is worth noting as well that the developers, they did specify that there was going to be more of these sorts of sections where you kind of have to work kind of together to get across something or to go through to the next section. So Ashley's going to be a little more useful. It is worth noting that they also specified that Ashley could actually kick ladders down. The other thing that they also mentioned, which was actually very funny, was that Ashley no longer has to wait for you to catch her. She can actually use her legs and go down ladders. That was one of the most annoying things about Resident Evil 4 remake. The OG Resident Evil 4. I'd always be like, oh dang, okay, I forgot Ashley. Like, I forget she can't jump or she can't use ladders. Really weird, and I'm glad that they fixed this small detail because I always thought that was a little bit annoying. It almost felt like a princess, like you were carrying around a princess. It's like, no, you have legs. Can you use them? You know what I mean? So I'm really glad that they're doing that. Now, it is worth also noting that in this article specifically, they did specify more on the actions that Leon could do. So if you guys remember, we did go over this in the live stream, the Game Informer, where we read the whole article. But here in this article, they did specify that Leon's commands, and in that article, it did state that it was R3, but in this article, it states that his commands are come on, and spread out. So it's a little bit different. It's not, follow me, wait. It's not those commands because, of course, if you guys remember from that other article that Marcus Stewart wrote, he also wrote this one. But the other one did specify that you can no longer leave Ashley in a safe spot. Now, a lot of people were speculating, and of course, they are right to do so. That, of course, does that mean that Ashley won't be able to hide in the trash bins? It does seem like what the developer specifically said in the articles, that it would lead to that being the case. But of course, nothing's been 100% confirmed, but it does look like that. And of course, both of these articles, they did also specify and go over again the same thing that we knew from before. Ashley will not have a health bar. And also, if she does get hit too much, she will go down in a down state. Now, this is very similar to RE5 or even RE6, where, if you're playing cooperatively, you do have to, if you get hit too many times, you do kind of go in like a resuscitate kind of mode, a danger mode, that if you get hit once, you're dead. Now, of course, this game isn't co-op, so that feature isn't a part of that, but it is very similar to RE5, where to get back up, you do need to have somebody, the AI or your partner, whether it's a real person or not, they do have to go next to your character and press circle, or if they have a health. So I'm assuming that that's probably going to be the case with Ashley. I don't know if you'll be able to heal her, but it is worth noting too that I'm just speculating here. I don't know 100%. We don't know 100% if you'll be able to heal her, but it is kind of like that resuscitate kind of an action. If anything, that's what it seems like it's alluding to in the article. And this Ashley, now they did also, I mentioned 2 other things that they did kind of repeat themselves that they also stated in the previous article. But what they basically stated is that Ashley's character is going to be more believable. So she's going to be reacting a little more realistic. The journalist that did play through these areas, Marcus Stewart, he did specify that he did like this version of Ashley a lot better. Mind you, he did specifically say that he didn't hate her in the other game. I'm kind of in the same boat. I did not hate Ashley, but I did find that her voice, it was her tone, you know what I mean? Like, her tone was really annoying. And so, but apparently this version of Ashley is going to be more responsive. She's going to be more believable, more realistic. Again, we've already known this. And on top of that, they also did repeat that the developers were thinking at first that they wanted Leon and Ashley to kind of hold hands, but then that idea was scrapped. Now, again, this was stated in that Game Informer article, the 12th page that we did go over in the stream, but But now the developers did state that the reason for this is that they thought that no, Leon and Ashley were getting a little too close. And of course, story-wise, that doesn't make much sense since Leon and Ashley, at the end of OGR4, if you guys remember, Ashley literally asks Leon to go on a date, right? He says, yeah, I don't know. So how about we do overtime at my place? And he's like, sorry, no. You know what I mean? So it's very clear that Leon's here only to do a mission. So for them to actually grow a relationship, they could have changed that, but the developers really wanted to stay faithful to the original game. And also another thing to also mention is that in Japan, public shows of affection is actually kind of seen as not good. So them holding hands, I can also see probably culturally that was like too intimate, for them. So it's again, it kind of makes sense as to why that idea was scrapped. It would have been cool, but it was scrapped. And I can kind of see why just from going from a story-wise thing, right, to keep everything cohesive. Anyways, let's go over the next images very quickly. So the next image, we actually have Leon, which looks like an Ashley is climbing the ladder. Now, if we do look closely, the article did specifically state that Ashley would be able to kick down ladders. So I'm trying to see here if that's the case. Now, the photo does get a little bit blurry. It doesn't seem like it. It doesn't seem like this is a extendable ladder. But what was interesting about that article is that they did specifically state that after you get Ashley, you can actually sneak out of the church. So you can actually go out, sneak out. But what's also interesting about this is that if we do look at that 1 minute Game Informer video clip, it actually does show Leon kind of fighting a bunch of the ganados leaving the church. So it does seem like he did get caught. I wonder, because we do know for a fact that this game is going to have stealth sections, with the use of, going down, kind of crouching. Of course, I'm not expecting this to be like Metal Gear Solid or anything of that level of stealth, but it is interesting. I also think it's quite cool that we see Hunnigan here. Of course, we do have to remember that this is technically 2004, fall of 2004. That's when Resident Evil 4 Remake takes place. And of course, when it comes to these kinds of futuristic things, Resident Evil has never had that. Like, if you guys remember in Resident Evil 6, everybody had like futuristic holographic phones, and it was like, what? That took place in 2012 and 2013. So again, it's something cool to see, but of course they've always Resident Evil has always been kind of iffy when it comes to the realism of technology. But I think from a gameplay perspective, it does look cool that we see this, especially compared to the OG one where we had Leon and Hunnigan, or anybody else talking to Leon in that weird kind of Metal Gear, I would say, kind of a codec, kind of a call. All right, let's move on to the next image. All right, so for this image right here, it does look like they're in that house in the villa. So if you guys saw my previous video that I shot, we did go over the whole map of the Resident Evil 4 Remake, and it seems like the villa is where you encounter Lewis and you have to fight together to fight the horde of ganados that kind of swarm the whole place. So this definitely seems like it's that area, definitely, because as mentioned, the Game Informer guy did play Chapter 5, and it did go up to this point in the game, right? He did play in Chapter 5, and this would be in Chapter 5. So let's move on. All right, next image, this is back at the church. We actually have Ashley. Leon is actually holding Ashley. Now, the developers did specifically state in the article that Ashley is going to be able to go down ladders, right? We already covered that. But on top of that, they said, but there's only one case where she doesn't, and she actually does need you to catch her. And they said that's in her introduction scene. And the reason they're doing this is just kind of to pay an homage to the original or RE4. So that's kind of cool, right? The first time you meet Ashley, you are going to be able to catch her. But then after, no, she's going to be able to climb down ladders, which I honestly think is a really great win. Because like I said, that never really made much sense. It's like, okay, can you use your legs? Can you use your body? Come on, Ashley. I don't have time to babysit. You know what I mean? All right, next image. Again, this does look like it's the attic of the church. So it seems like they're just talking and stuff. And this is the other thing is that the Game Informer article did specify that as you sneak out of the church, Leon is going to be able to hear a kind of cult meeting. So a kind of church cult, a cultic service that's happening. So this actually brings me back to the OG RE4 where you could actually go, once you're in the castle, there's an area next to the merchant, where you go on the second floor and you can see a bunch of the castle ganados all kind of praying and stuff and doing occultic practices. So it seems like that's going to happen with the church. You're going to see a bunch of the ganados kind of praying. And again, you can sneak out. That's what the guy specifically said. But again, going back to that Game Informer video, it seems like the person that was playing that footage of the game looked like he got caught. So that's why you see the old ladies running at him and he does a ground execution. It seems like he got caught. But again, this is just me speculating on what information we've had so far. So I don't know if it's like a planned alert, like, oh, you can only go so far until you do get spotted, or if, the guy just screwed up. We don't know. But again, this is just speculation. All right, in the next image, it does look like we're back at the villa. Again, this scene right here looks very similar to the ballistic scenes with Lewis. And the reason I say that is mostly because, you can see the stairs in the back, right? You can kind of see that, of course, that house does have those kinds of stairs. And I remember there was pictures of vases when we did see Lewis. In the previous video, we did go over that. So again, that would make the most sense. And so this does look like Leon and Ashley's and Lewis's talk right before the Ganados show up. Well, if you guys enjoyed this video, then make sure to click this video if you guys want to see the previous screenshots, because we basically dissected 18 new screenshots that Game Informer basically released. So for this one, we only had 6. Go check the other one out. Anyways, thank you so much for watching.